We want to talk first about this Sharp sale. Very interesting. I mean, yeah, it's a 10% stake in the company. It doesn't sound like a lot on the surface of it, but this is a big deal, isn't it?
Right, and I'm not even quite sure that we're in the best position to appreciate this, but Sharp, a historic name in Japanese electronics, up there with Sony and Panasonic. This is the 100th year for Sharp, but they've had trouble, just like Sony and Panasonic have, and mainly because of TVs. All three of them are big in TVs. TV sales have slumped. It's a very tough business, low margin business, and today Sharp announces an agreement to sell nearly 10% of its company to Hon Hai, which is a Taiwanese company.
Taiwanese
company that makes products, and that's the key thing. Here you have a legendary Japanese company that is selling part of itself to an overseas company in what has been one of those companies that have hurt.
And I mean,
Sharp.
you talk about this being a tough environment for these guys. Sharp is expected to post its worst loss ever.
Yes.
So I mean, it seems like this was really something driven of necessity, this deal.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all three, Sharp, Panasonic, and Sony. They're on track to have $17 billion of losses this year, and so that just speaks to the problems that they're in, and part of it's
everyone's buying TVs.
Well,
everyone's buying TVs, right?
Who's taking up that big?
Well, it's Samsung's, but they're getting hurt by the strong yen,
right?
The fact that you have companies like Samsung and others that are able to produce this stuff more cheaply overseas, and plus this whole mentality that's at these companies that they have to do everything themselves, that they can't outsource some stuff to cheaper manufacturers, that they have to. So the combination of all those things have really weighed on these companies, and this is sort of the Sharps is the first step to sort of break out from that.
Well, Hon Hai is a very interesting choice, because Hon Hai, of course, is also known as Foxconn.
Yes.
And makes everything, and actually does function largely as an outsourcer, right? I mean, it's famous for making Apple and getting into trouble with some of its labor practices and so forth, right? It's a massive, I think it's got something like 800,000 employees or something insane, right? And so it seems to me what's also interesting in this is Hon Hai's strategic move, because they're in a highly competitive, labor-intensive business themselves, where there's always a threat that the next big, massive labor-intensive operation in, say, Bangladesh or Vietnam is going to take away, particularly as Chinese labor prices rise. And like many Chinese companies, they're trying to move up the value chain and be a player more than just an outsourcer. So I wonder whether there's some of this going on there from the other side here, a real marriage of convenience in that sense.
The purchase will get Hon Hai into the LCD display business. That's a part of Sharp that they're buying, and that's a part of that's a business that Hon Hai itself has been trying to get more into.
Right.
But they've done it more so providing panels for smartphones and tablets, smaller devices. Sharp is more of an expert in doing these types of panels for TVs, but they're trying to go down to the smartphone tablet level, which is where the growth really is. So you have an interesting merger here of Hon Hai looking to get bigger with its expertise, with its purchase, and Sharp sort of looking to
and I wonder too, you sort of alluded to the culture of Japanese companies, George. I really wonder if this is going to be sort of a sea change moment for Japanese companies, where you are going to start seeing them more open to deals like this, less insular.
Right.
Look, the demographics of Japan are going to force a change on the way they do business at some point. I wonder if we're going to look back on this in years to come.
And what's not clear
is
how much the earthquake last year has contributed even more to the problems that these companies have had, and maybe prompted this move to happen sooner than it might have otherwise.